Welcome to the voice of St. Anthony Parish, Malston, Massachusetts, right here on WROL 950 AM 100.3 FM. And you can also hear us at CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com and on your favorite podcast platform. Well, we're continuing our conversation with Rachel Killacky, author of Love in Recovery, one woman's story of breaking free from shame and healing from pornography addiction, from Ave Maria Press. So as we continue this, we're going to actually hear some of it even tomorrow. We talk about this fascinating aspect of bringing the message of Christ even into all kinds of addictions, including this one. So let's switch over to the interview right now. A reminder, these are mature subjects we're talking about, so if you have any young ones who you don't want listening to this, you may want to find a way to hear it in a way that they cannot. Let's go to the interview. I use a program called Verbum. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So I use that when I do my homilies, and I'm always fascinated by how many times I read the saints who always talk about consistently, always be pastoral when you're doing any kind of correction.
Yes. And how often does that actually occur?
Well, good point. It can be disastrous but that's what the church teaches, to always be pastoral. And I loved how you brought in to bring all of this, if someone is going through a struggle, to bring it into prayer, because that's another thing. People will say, no, I can't, tell God about this. And you go, no, yes, you can. That's important, to be honest and bring this into prayer.
Yeah, that was a transformational phase for me in my struggle with pornography. Was learning to be present to what the Lord was doing in my life, but also just be radically honest with him. That was a hard thing to learn, and I think it came as I was sort of developing a prayer life anyway as a teenager and young adult, and so I was learning to be honest with God in general in a new way. But I didn't experience lasting freedom. I don't like proposing that we can pray addiction away, but I did not experience lasting freedom until I started being really honest with God in prayer and trusting that he loved me. I think that was huge, was trusting that he did not look on me with shame when I fell, or when I was trying to pray through why I might have fallen, or he didn't look on me with shame when I needed deeper healing. He in fact delighted in the ability to save me. I think that was very difficult, but I think women especially struggle to approach the Lord with sexual sin and addiction, because there's an awareness when you're a woman and you're trying to picture Jesus, that you're a woman before a man, right? And so I think there's increased shame in prayer, and so it breaks my heart, and it broke my heart looking back at my own story as I was writing the book. Just the ways that women held back and that I held back from Jesus, because he just delights in saving us. And so within Magdala, the organization that I run for women struggling with sexual addiction, we try to facilitate those experiences of prayer, and encourage women towards intimacy with Christ. Even if sobriety is not a part of their story right now, we're doing everything we can to help women obviously be sober from sexual addiction, but the priority is helping them build intimacy with Christ. And because that is what actually can help sustain a long-term sobriety.
That is so powerful. But I didn't, as a priest, I didn't understand it until, as you're explaining to me, just how much that is affecting the people in the congregation, which may actually explain why, some people just get so angry, and I don't understand why. And and I'm always focused on, I'll tell you why I'm smiling in a second, but I'm always focused on just trying to bring the pastoral. And here's the reason why I was just kind of smiling when I thought of that. I was with someone the other day, it was a group of priests I'm with, and there was someone they were mentioning who's online, and I said, no, I'm not a big fan of them, because they're really focused on the rules, and this is the way it should be, and stuff like that. And they said, you don't seem to like a lot of these people. I said, to tell you the truth, I don't. I says, and that's the reason why. They're always ready to bring out the rules. And I said, no, we have to very first bring out that, no, it's that relationship, that coming to know the Lord. And it is something people have to learn, that it doesn't matter what you're bringing to the Lord. What matters is that you're bringing it to the Lord.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just, this is an age old issue, right? Is that we have the Pharisees and we have the ones who actually received Jesus, which was the sinners, those in need, and I think there is something beautiful. I can speak to the experience of addiction. There is something beautiful about recognizing how deeply in need you are. I say often that I would not know Jesus like I do if it hadn't been for struggling with addiction. So I'm grateful that that is the way that he chose for me to surrender to him, and or one of the ways that he's chosen that for me, and the ways that he revealed himself to me through that, his power and his mercy on me. But yeah, I think this is just an age old thing. I think we want to feel safe and we rely on talking about rules to feel safe. Because if we get the rules right, then we don't have to surrender. But if we have to encounter our own sin and our own weakness, then we have to surrender to a God who is bigger than us. And that's a scary thing to do, even if we want to. So I think oftentimes when people are just talking about rules and they're getting legalistic, it's because they want to feel safe and they're afraid to surrender.
I think you just hit it right there. That's absolutely true, because then they can accept God in their own terms. Mm-hmm. And that's always the disaster.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's a time to talk about like morality and rules. And because one of our favorite passages to talk about in Magdala is John chapter 8, verses 1 through 11. And with the woman caught in adultery, and how Jesus, writes in the sand and sends her accusers away. And then, he says, where are those who are trying to condemn you? And she says, no one's here. And he says, neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. It's that two-part invitation from God, right? Like, receive my mercy, but go and sin no more, and go live a life, worthy of the calling that you've received. And I think we have to have the two-part invitation in that order, because the love and the mercy doesn't make sense if we don't ascend to a higher plane. But we do have to have both parts of this, but in order. We have to receive that mercy and that love first.
And it's really powerful in being able to accept that and say, yeah, this is it. This is how God is, and not to be afraid to come before him with all the issues, we may be dealing with. And it is so powerful to understand that as we do that, we come to learn a deeper reality of just how big God is. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree.
Oh, no, you also bring up some of the things that can lead you down the wrong path. And I saw, things like social media, smartphones. That was interesting. Get rid of the smartphone.
Yeah, definitely. I haven't had a smartphone. Now I have something called the Light Phone, or the Light Phone 2. It's a minimalist phone, so it's not a smartphone. I love it. But even when I had a smartphone, I disabled Safari on it, or the internet on it, so that I couldn't be on the internet, which was a great choice for me. But yeah, I take a pretty strong stance on this, because I do believe that smartphones, I think the internet and computers made pornography more accessible than we ever could have imagined, but the smartphone makes it even more accessible. So I do take the strong stance that it's, having a smartphone in your back pocket as a porn addict is similar to having a beer in your back pocket as an alcoholic. Like, I think we have to be honest with ourselves about how little resistance we can have to internet access on our smartphones. And if you're struggling with pornography, I think just do yourself a favor and at least get rid of it for a time. That's what I recommend. Obviously, I can't force anybody to do that. Or at least heavily, heavily disable internet capabilities and app capabilities on your smartphone, which is possible.
And even the Pope brought that up, saying that, it's so easy to get it on your phone, and get rid of it. Do not.
Yeah. Yeah. I've appreciated his strong stance on this very, very much.
You're listening to the voice of St. Anthony Parish in Malson, Massachusetts, right here on WROL, 950 AM, 100.3 FM, and on your favorite podcast platform. We'll be right back. you can now leave a message for us, which we can air and discuss on this program. Just call 617-297-7452. That's 617-297-7452. 617-297-7452. Feel free to call, leave a comment, a question, or even feedback, and we may play it on the air. I can discuss your comment or question as well, so give that a try. 617-297-7452, 617-297-7452. And we'll be back tomorrow with the final part of our interview with Rachel Killacky and the author of Love in Recovery, One Woman's Story of Breaking Free from Shame and Healing from Pornography Addiction, from Ave Maria Press. She also runs a website, a ministry through her website called Magdala Ministries, and that's Magdala Ministries.org, so you can also check that as well. www.magdalaministries.org. We'll be back tomorrow with the final part of our interview, but do keep in mind you can share these broadcasts with anyone. Just go to our podcast page, CatholicAudiomedia.com. I want to call your attention to Catholic TV, which offers great faith-filled, family-friendly programming 24 hours a day. You can find your cable channel at www.getcatholictv.com, and you can watch online on the free apps or check out the YouTube channel. Daily Mass, Rosaries, the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and the Our Lady of Perpetual Help Novena are all available online and on demand. Check out CatholicTV.com. If you would like to support our program, please consider a donation to St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts. There are several ways to consider this. One is to purchase any of our merchandise, which you can find at the shopping tab at CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. There are coffee mugs there. There's also my latest book, Encounter Christ in Your Humanity, all of which you can find at the shopping tab at CatholicAudiomedia.com. You can also donate to the show directly through either the Donate tab, also at CatholicAudiomedia.com, or by sending a donation through the U.S. Postal Service with your questions and comments at 43 Holton Street, Allston, Massachusetts, 02134. That's St. Anthony Parish, 43 Holton Street, Allston, Massachusetts, 02134. Finally, the best way you can support our parish is to attend Mass on Sundays at 10 o'clock and be a part of our parish. We thank you for any support you would like to give to St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts, the sponsoring parish for this media outreach to Catholics and other Christians in the WROL, WEZE, and podcast listening audience. In Cristo vivimos.